the building is very loud. Fans are sit right behind you, and some of the student section they can be a little bit wild. We've had beer cans thrown at us. That could be a little bit intimidating.
All right, welcome in here on this Tuesday. Start of the Big Ten season again. The Michigan basketball team they are in Piscataway. I didn't know it was such a hornet's nest. Juwan Howard talking about beer cans getting thrown at the team. All right. Also he watched that press conference that he had yesterday, called it a lion's den where they're heading in tonight. And we're going to get to all of that, cover this Michigan basketball game that's coming up here tonight. Look at the rest of the season. You're turning the page, all the things that you do, and you say for yourself when you get into the new year, you say about a basketball team here as well, especially one that is not playing up to expectations. And so, you get that optimism about, now's the time where you got to put it all together. And, of course, you thought this past Thursday when they had a pretty big break going down there to Central Florida that was going to be the case. And things were looking pretty good a couple minutes into the second half. Michigan up 12. And, then it went down the tubes and they ended up losing by, double figures in that game to fall to 7-5. If you're watching this, listening to it on the pod for the first time, we're here every day at 1:00 talking Michigan. And yesterday I was wondering, it's like, okay, now, you got to make that transition, got to go into winter sports, got to go into basketball, and you get more into hockey and football. Got to put it in the rear view mirror, at least for a second, or, at least till February 2nd when there's the next National Signing Day. But, a tinge of sadness when you have to move on from football. And, of course, how things went down on New Year's Eve, that was going to be the case as well. But here we are and ready for this game against Rutgers here. And in the new year, 18 games left for Michigan hoops, and all 18 are against Big Ten foes. That's good and bad news, as things sit for Michigan. And, the thing that people they have not followed it close or now will start to follow it close. The first question is, you look at 7-5 and you say, is this team going to make the tournament? I'll get to that coming up. And the answer is maybe. But, and things are not trending the right way here for U of M. But I'll give you the numbers and, the keys to it all. And, you can decide for yourself. I'll give you my opinion on it, of course. But we'll let you decide for yourself on there. But, the tail of the tape for tonight with Rutgers, Michigan record-wise, you're looking in the mirror. The Scarlet Knights are 7-5, and they're 1-1 in conference. Of course, if you followed it a little bit, that Rutgers took down Purdue when Purdue was ranked number 1 this year. That happened. So the Scarlet Knights, have that pelt, to hang there. Certainly it looks pretty good on your resume, beating the number 1 team. Now, I know Purdue lost last night, but, at the time they were number 1, and that was pretty good for Rutgers. But, Rutgers made the tournament last year for the first time in 30 years. So this is, a lot of times you think about Rutgers and you're like, Rutgers, they were a tournament team last year and, they got some pretty good players coming back, but they have been a disappointment. The victory against Purdue notwithstanding, they have been a disappointment. They went to Illinois since that win and got smoked by 35 by the Fighting Illini. That's the tail of the tape. You look at some of the numbers here. The numbers are not good from Rutgers. You go to Ken Pom, and it's the one thing with Michigan and the predicament they're in with their record and the efficiency numbers or the computer numbers. Because of Michigan's schedule, the computers still really like Michigan. And in fact, you look at it, you say, wow, Michigan's not too bad when it comes down to these metrics or the net ratings or, whoever you want to go to, Palm or you want to go to Ken Pom, Jerry Palm, Ken Pom, that kind of sounded like the same thing. But, Ken Pom has Michigan in the top 25. They're ranked 21. Meanwhile, Rutgers is ranked 103 in the Ken Pom. Look at some of these numbers for Rutgers here: 205 offensive efficiency, 273 in scoring, 270th in effective field goal percentage there for the Scarlet Knights. None of those, of course, none of those numbers are very good. Michigan's favored by 4 on the road here. The Rutgers gets back. He's been back for a little bit. He had a hamstring injury. The senior Geo Baker and Ron Harper Jr. He was the one that hit that sort of half court heave. I guess it was inside. I was trying to remember. It wasn't a true half quarter, maybe just inside half court to beat Purdue a couple of weeks ago. That put Rutgers on the map, at least for this year. But just reading some of the things about the Scarlet Knights. They did make the tournament last year for the first time in 30 years. They did beat number 1 Purdue, and now they're circling tonight's game as another one of those first that they can do. They've just played, Rutgers and Michigan have just played 15 times. And did you know Michigan has won all 14 encounters by double digits? So, this is one that Rutgers is saying, look, it's time to turn things around and beat Michigan, use that home court advantage that Juwan Howard was talking about, and get their first win ever against Michigan. So, that's what they're looking at here. As far as Michigan and the tournament, you start looking at things for U of M, and it does feel like a little bit of a dire situation. If you remember last year, Michigan State, they had a net ranking of 70, and that was the highest, or I guess the lowest ranking in the tournament since they started using their net rankings that a team got in. Michigan's at 43. So because of the schedule that they have played, now the net rankings have only been around since, the 18-19 season. So it's only been a couple of years, but it is the primary tool that the NCAA selection committee uses to evaluate these teams. The old quad 1, quad 2, quad 3. Michigan's, at a 40, sitting there at 43. So not all that bad when it comes to that number there. And, you get the 18 games that are left. And one thing you look is that the minimum requirement when you're talking about the NCAA tournament, Jerry Palm talked about this week, CBS Sports, Jerry Palm, and he said you have to finish the season with a record at least 4 games above 500. All right, so Michigan's 7-5, and they have 18 games left. They can't just go 500. That's not going to put them above, 4 games above 500. That would put them at 16-14. They go 10-8. Then you're talking about you get 17 wins there, 17-13. With how COVID is working at, you usually look at that number and you say, 18 is a pretty low number, but, Michigan's had a game canceled. There's teams that have been canceled all over the place. Rutgers is on a 2-week pause themselves. So, you're looking at Michigan going 10-8 or 11-7 in these games to put themselves in a range where they're going to have a chance, to be in the NCAA tournament. And, it does sound like a tall task if you start going through, which I did today, and saying, win, loss. But I can tell you at this time next week, I'm going to be sitting here talking to you. You're going to know a lot more, because going to Rutgers and then playing Michigan State and Purdue, they are at home, but then having to go to Illinois, Michigan's got to win some of these games. I mean, they can't go, and they've got to at least split them. You start talking about just winning 1 game out of these next 4, it just buries yourself in a hole, puts yourself in a spot where, you're just not going to be able to overcome it. So big week for Michigan basketball, and it starts tonight against Rutgers. And if they're going to make the tournament, this is one of those games here. You think about that. They're going to have to make up somewhere if they end up going down. It's like the same thing against Central Florida, same thing against Minnesota, same thing when you start going down, saying, "Oh, that was costly loss." They've had a few of those. So, there it is. Michigan, a 4-point favorite, though. They've got that going for them tonight as they head into New Jersey to take on Rutgers. All right. Still wanted to get you the staples here, and I'm adding something in a non-Michigan topic. And this is actually a non-sports topic, which I'll get to coming up. Plus the memorabilia minute, plus the Michigan recruiting spotlight. For the Michigan recruiting spotlight, as we tumble towards February the 2nd, Michigan's got some names, some players, a 4-star, a 3-star that are setting up some visits to come in before February. So, still something to do here with this class. And of course, they're in on the big tackle from Seattle that everybody knows his name by now, Josh Connerly Jr., and also the running back out of Dallas, Paul. So they're Andrew Paul. They're still looking to add to this top 10 class, maybe get themselves into the top 5 this year, which would be outstanding after the season that they had. Everybody does know that. So when is this game tonight for Michigan? There it is. Put it up on the screen. It is 7:00 on the Big Ten Network. By the way, if you did not know, after all Michigan basketball games and football games, I come on and talk about the game. About 10 minutes after the game, sometimes a little bit earlier, sometimes just a little bit later, but not much later than 10 minutes. I'm here and I'm talking about the game and everything that I saw. So, and you can get involved in the fun with that. So that takes place next tonight after the Michigan Rutgers game. So we'll see you here. I'm planning on wearing the same shirt, so you'll see what happens with that. As far as the Michigan recruiting spotlight, we go back to football. And over the weekend, the Armor All-American game was played, and the MVP was a signee from Michigan. Derek Moore was named the MVP of the Under Armour All-American game. The defensive end had 2 sacks. He had another sack that was negated because of a defensive hold. The Baltimore, Maryland native dedicated his performance to a classmate who died of cancer last April. And we get some sound from Derek Moore after the game on the field after he was awarded the MVP. He was asked about his expectations at Michigan.
I think I seen a little bit of it today. So, when I get to Ann Arbor, we're gonna turn it up a little bit more. So, I'm gonna say Michigan, let's get ready. I'm on my way there.
All right, so you had a lot of music blaring in the back and everything else. He's going to turn it up even a little bit more. He had a great game this past weekend. And, by the way, the breaking news, as expected, Michigan linebacker David Ajabo has declared for the NFL draft. So a guy with limited amount of snaps last year came on like gangbusters and put himself in. It would be a surprise if he wasn't picked in the first round. Looks like he's a for sure first rounder. Congratulations to David Ajabo, and best of luck to the Wolverine who came in and was a big part of this Michigan defense, which won the Big Ten. I want you to listen to Derek Moore a little bit more, again. Because you got the music and everything playing in the background, expectations, like you're going to a little bit more.
I think I seen a little bit of it today. So, when I get to Ann Arbor, we're gonna turn it up a little bit more. So, I'm gonna say Michigan, let's get ready. I'm on my way there.
All right, you saw a little bit of it today. That's what he was saying. So get ready. He's going to turn it up even more when he gets to Ann Arbor. So you like that. Good looking kid. I mean, he looks like, a lot of times you're thinking true freshman, like, is he really going to be able to come in and compete and be able to play? Yeah, he looks like it. I mean, he looks like he's ready to go. It's like you could put him on there and have him. And especially when you think about Ajabo and Hutchinson and the opening that they're going to have, whoever it's going to be, Taylor Upshaw, Mike Morris, Guy, a few others maybe, Harrell, who was in there, but there's a chance to get on the field immediately as a true freshman and contribute to day one, all the way through 12 games, a participant in the 2 deep. I wouldn't put that past Derek Moore coming in next year. All right. something that is non-Michigan. I just saw a list here and I wrote it down. Phrases. This is from Lake Superior University. They had phrases in 2022 that are used. They don't want you to use these. If you use these, whether it's online or just in your regular conversation, they don't want to use these phrases anymore. And, I can see it because, they're setting off a lot. I think I heard all of them. That's why I'm bringing the list to you. 1, no worries. 2, these are, again, phrases that are out in 2022. That being said, wait, what? Now, that's one I see a lot online. I've never used the wait, what myself, but it's prevalent. It's there. Wait, what? Asking for a friend. There's another one. Like it's supposed to be kind of a funny way. I mean, you see it all the time. Is Michigan going to win this game tonight? I'm asking for a friend. You're really asking for yourself, but that's the funny way. But it's used no more. Don't use it in 2022. We're going to circle back out for 2022. A deep dive. We took a deep dive into Michigan basketball today. No, they don't want you to use that one. This is the new normal. Yeah, that's a pandemic phrase. This is our new normal. You heard that a lot. Also, this in the pandemic, I didn't realize this is used so much, but supply chain, anything. Hey, we're going to get some supply chain issues. Gas, everything going up. That's the supply chain issue. And you're on mute. That one, I didn't know that may be a phrase that, or something that is actually used a lot because people are on Zoom and they screw up a lot. They are on mute, and then people have just advanced it to, regular conversation. That's the only one I wasn't really familiar with, but those are phrases that you don't want to use anymore in 2022. Memorabilia Minute, yesterday I showed you a Juwan Howard classic basketball card in the same year, but a different one. It's Juwan Howard again. This time his classic regular card here. You got a picture of him on the back too, and everything from his 3 years at Michigan. Let's see. I guess we're not going to be able to read is that his autograph down there at the bottom? Let's see. Howard. No, maybe not. Seeing if he looks like Jace a little bit. See it. I guess Jace would be the one that would look like him. There he is, lining up that jumper. This one at the free throw line, Juwan Howard, classic basketball card. All right, I'll talk with you tonight after the Michigan game. Michigan favored by 4. It's, as a sports fan, somebody that loves football, basketball, hockey, and baseball, it's good because you always have it covered whatever season that you're in. But, truthfully, football is always ruled everything, for me. And, it's America's game too. I mean, all consuming. So once it's over, you hang your head for a second, but then you're back, and that starts tonight, the part being back. And then, you look to this weekend, you see the schedule on the bottom of the screen there. Rutgers tonight, Michigan State Saturday. So normally you're like, man, what am I going to do with my Saturday afternoons? Well, you know what you're going to be doing. You're going to be watching Michigan State coming up this Saturday and, seeing really what Michigan's got, is Caleb Houston going to be able to round into form and start draining threes left and right? Is Devontae Jones going to continue? He's had a couple games here where he's played nice. Kobe Buffkin off the bench. You're going to see a little bit more from the freshman. Is Musa Diabate ready to take, he's awesome, but, can he get more of a feel for the game? Can a guy like Brandon Johns, the pride of East Lansing, can he come up big on Saturday? That'd be nice if he could start tonight because, you're a senior, Johns is, and, you're hoping for that natural uptick, and we haven't seen that from Johns. Now is a really good time for him to get that going. And, of course, on Saturday, the East Lansing native, hometown kid, and the game will be here. He always wants to play well against Michigan State. You'd see that, so those aren't a lot of things, but, those are some of the things. So we'll be talking about all that, what we see there from Michigan tonight when they hit the floor up in Piscataway, throwing anything at the players. It's ridiculous. What Juwan Howard said earlier. Okay, talk to you after the game. we're what, about 9:30 estimate. So long. Do, 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 do.